let's talk about this new Lil Nas X video. If you saw my TikTok and you're coming here from that, hello. If you haven't, the video is also on my channel here. You can go over and watch that, come back here. So this new video that's come out from Lil Nas X is getting lots of buzz. Am I offended? Maybe at certain times. Is it shocking? Yes. But that's kind of the point, right? We only pay attention and sit up and actually see what's going on when we're on the edge of our comfort zones, when our alerts are put up. And so this is a video that's asking us to listen to something, to pay attention to something. So while it is still being said to us in an artful way, let's listen. Jesus had the same message throughout his ministry. He said it in lots of different artful ways and parables and miracles and healings. And it got to the point where no one was listening, and he went into the temple and started flipping tables. So let's listen now until before we get to the point of flipping tables. The video is highly sexualized. It's one of the reasons why I get uncomfortable watching it. But that's our culture. It is the deal that if a musician wants to sell music, the consumers want sex. And so it's the deal that if you have a message, you got to bury it in between these other things and into the fun atmosphere of the music. You've got to bury your message in there. So it's not surprising that that is there. If you're paying attention to what's happening in the music industry in a lot of places, the videos and the music that asks us to really pay attention is often sexualized because that's what draws eyes into the message. Also, part of the point is that the way that American culture, especially influenced by conservative and evangelical Christians, is that gay people are sexualized, Black people are sexualized. He's just leaning in to the images and the expectations and the assumptions that have always been put onto him, that he has lived his entire life navigating and figuring out through. So this is what he thinks, and I think is a fair assumption of what other people think of him. It's just showing us what he's always been told. And he's damned for his sexualization. That's what the video says and shows, and I think that is what we also see playing out in Christian culture and in American culture. The images are Christian-based, so that's why a lot of Christians are getting really upset about this. We should remember that our imagery is also appropriated and taken from other religions and cultures throughout time. We've had them for a long time, but they weren't originally ours. We didn't come up with the idea of heaven and hell. That existed before us. So being offended by images that we also took from other people is a little bit rude, I would say. And it also means that we are the ones being asked to pay attention by using the language that we speak in. Lil Nas X is telling us, you're the ones I'm talking to about the way I've been treated. So we are the ones that are being asked to be on our edges of our comfort zone, to pay attention and to listen. If we can find a way to look past the sexualization, past the images that offend us, we find a message that Paul even talks about in scripture, that there is a side of us that wants good things for ourselves, and a side of us, our self-saboteur, that lives inside of us, that battle out with every decision that we make. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. This is also what Lil Nas X is talking about in his video in Montero. You can be the full good self that you have. And that in the end, he wins over his demons. He looks them square in the eye and says, I don't care what my inner saboteur says about me. I don't care what the world is saying about me. I am going to be who I am created to be and be happy with myself. Especially in a week where Christians are specifically looking at what happens when empire and the religious majority are challenged, we are missing the point of this video. When Jesus asked the religious majority and the empire to look at who was being served, who was being allowed to be in relationship with God, and pushed back and saying your practices are not healthy, it got him killed. They shouted, "Crucify," back at him. Lil Nas X is begging us to take responsibility for the trauma that Christians have created in the world. It is always hard to be challenged. It is always hard to be asked to change. But when people point out that our practices are not loving, we need to listen. We need to reread the scripture, and we need to find the way to never tell someone that God doesn't love them again.